We're now joined by Azapo President Nelvis Qekema for more on this story. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Peter.
Let's begin with the images that we've just seen in our report there. It looks like your members took the law into their own hands, went to this panel beating business and vandalized it.
Well, I am just, I'm still waiting for a report. A lot of things are happening, and racism is doing a lot to our people, bruising the minds of Black people, because you have racists in a country that wants to treat the owners of the country as foreigners in their own country. They want to treat the owners of the country, that is Black people, as, the stepchildren of God. They want to treat us below, animals themselves. So I still have to hear what has happened and what is happening. But if it is true that our members of Azapo, went to panel beat the workshop, I would have wished that they panel beated their souls, the souls of the racists, because racists like those do not deserve to live in this country.
It's a difficult one because race has always been at the center of the issues in this country for centuries, and it continues to manifest in a post-democratic, in a democratic era. Your take on where we are as a country when you see those scenes of a grown man assaulting children?
Well, first of all, we don't have to beat about the bush. The ruling party, the government, has to take responsibility for the fact that 28 years into democracy, there are white people who still think they can do anything they can think of about Black people. They can shoot us and then go to court and get scot-free out of the court, because they can only say as their defense they thought we were baboons, we were animals. They force us into coffins alive. They force us to eat our own human feces. And this is the kind of things that is happening, that it is happening in this country, and then we are being referred to as monkeys, as baboons. The government has got to take responsibility for this. It is because these white people, these white racists, white supremacists, feel safe in this country to treat us in the manner that they are doing. And that is why, in fact, you see that racism in this country is not only hate speech. Racism in this country is more than, if not worse than, hate speech. Because if you're going to reduce it to hate speech, you're going to go to the courts and find that you're also criminalizing, the victims of racism itself, Black people, that is. So we believe as Azapo, and this is a fact, that racism is anchored in the land. The dispossession of the land of Black people by white people. We believe that racism is embedded in the wealth of this country, which is in white hands, and the Black people in this country are nothing but beggars. They are nothing but whose children are just smoking nyaupe, not going to school. We are laborers in this country, not owning any wealth, no industries, nothing. We are the people who are using bucket toilets and pit toilets in these countries. Our children are learning under trees in this country. Everywhere we go, we feel like foreigners in this country. Even when we are free, white people can still continue with their racism, because all they have to do is to privatize everything. They go into private schools and then they can fund, because they have the resources, fund the best schools, best education, and they exclude Black people. Same with health, best hospitals and clinics where they've got the resources. And this government is ensuring that those resources are locked up and forever in white hands.
All right, so you're pointing a finger at government squarely. What could they have done to prevent something like this happening? What are the sort of things that they should have been doing?
Of course, outlawing a racism is just a point of departure, but it's not the whole picture, because racism is not just a legalistic thing. Racism, like I said, is embedded in the land, our land disposition as Black people. So therefore, the first thing you need to do is to ensure that the land is taken out of the hands, out of private hands, is returned to the state, to be the custodian of the ownership of that land, so that that land can be distributed equally to the people of this country, and ensure that the wealth of this country, which has been in white hands for more than 400 years, is redistributed, and ensure that you uplift Black people. You need also to deal with spatial development, which ensures that Black people are still living in RDPs, in townships. Black people are still, living in slums. That need not happen. We are human beings. We are not the stepchildren of God. So redistribute the wealth, and that needs to happen now, and aggressively so, as quick and as fast as possible.
Do you think we can ever defeat racism, or perhaps just reduce it? Because this is sadly a phenomenon that we see around the world, even to this day.
We can and we shall defeat racism. The first thing is to get it philosophically and intellectually right. That is why in Azapo we believe we are not non-racial. We are anti-racist. Anti-racism is the way to go. Because for so long as you are saying you yourself, you are not racial, and you're not dealing with racism, that is a problem. But we believe for so long as in this country, Black people are still living on 350 Rand a month handouts. Black people have got to wait until, there is an election for them to be clothed and given food parcels and the T-shirts of political parties. But by so doing, you are degrading Black people, their humanity and their dignity. For so long as Black people are believed to be people who are worthy of nothing, but to be laborers and people who must just eat bananas as if they were monkeys and and baboons. That's a problem. And where it starts with government. Until there are policies and aggressive policies which ensures that we restore the humanity and dignity of Black people. And then you need to ensure that Black people do not live in Mkuku, because Mikuku are some kind of, structural violence against Black people. There is no way we can be given Mikuku RDPs by our own government, because if our own government believes we are worthy of living in Mikuku, in RDPs, so why do you blame, white racists when they treat us like Mikuku, like baboons? Because we live like baboons in this country. And you can also not blame much of these races, because these races believe in a manner and in a country, in a system that makes them believe it is right to treat Black people like subhuman beings.
When we have conversations like this, we use words like blacks and whites. Is there a danger, perhaps, that we look at Claasen et al. And blanket all white people the same as these guys? Or could we look at them and say that this is a minority, that not all white people are like this? How do we deal with this? Because it seems as if all white people get painted by the same brush, unfortunately, by people like this.
That is because racism is practiced, for economic gain. It is not practiced for the fun of it. And racism is practiced by a group and on behalf of a group. So therefore, whether you know it or you don't, whether you're a conscious or an unconscious racist, but you benefit out of that racism, So therefore, it is not the responsibility of Black people, going out there doing a census or a head count who are racist, who are not racist. For us, as Black people, we all suffer from racism. Whether you are a Mutsipe or you are a Ramaphosa, we all suffer under racism because even they themselves are believed to be monkeys and something like that. Do you still remember in a white school when a child wrote next to Mandela that he was a monkey? And that was Mandela we were talking about. And so therefore, we are not going to go out and deal with a head count, but we've got to be able to deal with racism. Remember, racism is not only racism when it is verbalized. Racism is racism even when we hear nothing, we hear no sound. Because racism is institutionalized. When you go out and you find that white people are employable by virtue of their color, you are dealing with racism. When you go into townships and you find that Black people are living in Mikuku, you are dealing with racism. When you find Black people's children are studying under trees, you are dealing with racism. So even when you hear the media, the academia, and everyone else referring to this country as being post-colonial, you must know that we are being misled because there is still coloniality in this country. That is why you find that white people still feel privileged because they benefit from institutionalized racism. They do not become racist only when they verbalize the racism, but they become racist by virtue of the fact that they are racism, whether they know it or they don't know it.
Mr. Qekema, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, that's the president of Azapo speaking to us about the 3 men that have been charged for a number of charges, attempted murder, common assault and crimen injuria.